Two.
Quick question. Sure that those
Can you work muted?
Test.
Oh, somebody said I can hear. Chantel, I think, just said she could hear. Wonder if it was the feedback.
Okay, Chantel, test, can you hear?
Yep, I can hear.
You can hear now?
Yep.
Excellent, okay. Steve, can you hear? Steve can hear now.
Fantastic. I
Okay.
just want to make sure it's
Let's check.
able to be heard on YouTube Live.
They said they couldn't hear, so we're just trying to.
Yep, we want to make sure. Want to make sure it's able to be heard on YouTube Live. Okay, fantastic.
Yep, it sounds great.
Okay, thank you. We would like to apologize to everyone who is watching our feed. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We do believe that we have the sound issue fixed, so thank you.
So Jim, do we now, if I'm correct, we now make a motion to pass the resolution in the board? Okay. I will take a motion to pass a motion for the resolution that was discussed in our Board of Education revenue refund on bonds.
I'll move that we approve the motion, the resolution. I move that we approve the resolution.
Have a second?
A second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, that passes. All right, we'll now move to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
Please make sure, board members, you talk right into the mic. They can't hear if we don't.
You have to put your mouth back, like, as close to. No,
Pull that closer.
Thank you, it's hard, I know.
Okay, I would like to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next on our list is our financial report. Or is that part of the consent?
That's part of the consent.
Consent, sorry,
No.
okay. So we go into our delegations. So first on the list is PTA Association from Horizon Elementary and Viewmont Elementary.
Yeah, we'll start with Horizon. Yes.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you a little bit today about our Horizon PTA. My name is Becca Lawrence. I am the PTA president this year. I feel a little biased when I say that we have an amazing PTA, but I truly feel that way. We have tremendous support, and this year our PTA has focused on bringing as many normal activities and experiences to our school as possible. Our PTA has volunteered nearly 1,300 hours so far this year, and we've continued with Spirit Weeks and activities, reflections, spelling bee, science fair, Red Ribbon Week, Veterans Day, and much more. We've had to adjust our methods. No more handing out treats or lunchtime activities. Now we create videos instead of holding assemblies. But we've made it work, and we found that while COVID makes things challenging, it doesn't make things impossible. We've worked hard to make our PTA an inviting organization, actively seeking the input of our members. We recognize that there's strength in community, and we sincerely want every parent, teacher, and Horizon community member to be a part of our PTA and help us teach our children that they are strong and capable. One of our greatest accomplishments this year has been our focus on unity between our PTA and our school administration, faculty, and staff. We worked hard to cultivate a team atmosphere, working to advocate for all of our Horizon students. We are so appreciative to Mrs. Anderson and Dr. Joe for their contribution to this effort as well. Fridays of our monthly Spirit Week we dedicate to our teachers. and have provided extra treats, meals, and other COVID-friendly activities in appreciation for the amazing job that they're doing. We want them to know how much we appreciate their sacrifices and efforts. We love our teachers and acknowledge the challenges that they face this year and every year. We held a modified fun run in September, and our main focus of our fun run was to raise funds for our new classroom grant program. We set up an online donation platform to raise funds. Students competed to see who could do the most sit-ups, plank the longest, run the fastest 50 or 100-yard dash, and see who could do the longest wall sit. And you would be impressed with the times that came in. Each class competed independently, broken into small groups and socially distanced. All of our funds raised went to fund grants that are allowing teachers to provide for the exact needs of their students in their classroom. We were able to raise enough funds to offer $300 to every faculty member, as well as our specials teachers. Teachers fill out a grant request form that is discussed and voted on by our executive committee. They then obtain their approved items and report back about their experience and how those items have benefited their students. This year, a popular ask has been for class sets of quality over-the-ear headphones. Teachers have reported the benefit of all students having equal access to good headphones, excuse me, to listen and re-listen to lessons, or to be able to focus better on their work with less distraction. We've had the opportunity to provide other items such as flexible seating options, walking desks, supplementary materials for the multisensory program, phonics program Spire, access to additional learning resources that support ELA, social studies, and science, and much more. Excuse me. We have a theme that we share with the school each month. This month, our theme is Together We Can Cultivate Kindness. Our goal this month is to spread as many messages and acts of compassion, kindness, and empathy as we can. We are participating in a Great Kindness Challenge this week for Spirit Week. In addition to daily spirit activities, teachers have been given paper strips that their students have been writing on every time they recognize an act of kindness they've either given or received. Our PTA has been collecting these strips of paper and linking them together into a great kindness chain, which we're hanging in our lunchroom. The response has been great and the message is reaching our students. Some students have been writing the reason for their link on the paper, and I'd like to share just a few of those. I played tag with a girl in my class when she had nobody to play with. I held the door for my friends. Jaden gave me the ball without kicking it. Sammy stood up for me. My brother let me use his hat for hat day. My dad helped me skateboard. Someone helped talk me through my struggles with my heart and anxiety. We've had hundreds and hundreds of links so far, and we're excited to see how long our chain gets before the week is over. We think it will serve as a positive visual reminder to be kind to others while recognizing the kindnesses shown to us. Horizon is also fortunate to have a very dedicated Black History Month committee, chaired by parent Ada Shumway. Approved and grade-specific lesson plans have been provided to the entire school. Students are participating in art projects, poetry and writing exercises, Google slideshows, and more. Our PTA is fortunate to have so much great support, and we'll continue to work hard for our entire Horizon community. Thank you.
Thanks for having me here tonight. This is my first time being at a board meeting, and it's wonderful to be here. Beaumont has a lot to celebrate this year, and I'm happy to be here to share a few of our accomplishments and successes with you. At the beginning of our school year, our PTA board got together and had a meeting to discuss things that we wanted to really focus on this year. We quickly agreed that if there was one thing that we really wanted to put our efforts into, it was showing gratitude for our Beaumont staff each month. For a handful of reasons, we looked at decreasing our budget this year, but there was one area where we felt like we needed to increase our budget, and that was teacher appreciation. This was really important to our PTA board this year because we knew we wouldn't be able to support them in person as we have in years past. Our appreciation has been shown in many ways since August. We have loved treating our teachers and often the entire staff with sweet cookies and sodas, Post-it notes and pens, ornaments, and probably my favorite, potted succulents, because as the gift tag said to our teachers, this year would suck without you. While there have been many things we haven't been able to do this year, we have been happy to be able to continue many of our regular activities. While they were almost always modified, we were glad to be able to help students at Viewmont feel some normalcy beyond their classroom. One activity was Red Ribbon Week, where we focused on being happy, being brave, and being drug-free. We asked students to spend time with their families during the week, invite a new friend to play with them during recess, and sign a personal pledge to be drug-free. White Ribbon Week was also a great success. Our community council and PTA worked together to provide activities and parent volunteers during recess each day, where kids could share the power beliefs that they had learned that day about digital citizenship and making wise technology choices. Many parents were thrilled to be able to volunteer during the outdoor activities. Another success we've had this year is the shift we made from having in-person physical yes stores in previous years, where students would come in and spend their Eagle tickets that they had earned that month on prizes, to instead putting together yes store boxes for teachers each month. We have done this for every class each month, which has been full of prizes for teachers to use to motivate their entire class, or to help reward their students individually. This has been a great help for teachers and a really fun thing for students to look forward to each month. Other activities that have continued this year are the Spelling Bee, our virtual reflections contest, which had a really big increase in numbers from years past. And last but not least, a virtual Christmas choir. The choir was a highlight during the holidays, and while our PTA can't take much credit for it this year, we are so grateful for a school music teacher and two parent volunteers that made it happen. It has been a time-honored tradition for many years. Students learned the music richly as a group, and then performed individually from the comforts of their own home and on their own school Chromebooks. I would like to leave you with a short clip of one of the two songs that they performed and then shared with our school community via YouTube.
I apologize. I'm going to come up here. That's it. Thank you.
I will make sure all board members have a link to that.
Were they all at home?
Thank you.
No, too, so were they all hearing music the same private CD or all of them? That's so.
It's nice to see us trying to reach out and with more technology, but the challenge with reaching out and learning more technology is we sometimes have some hiccups with it, so. I'm not getting feedback too. Thank you, PTA presidents, for presenting tonight. I want to personally express my thanks to you for your personal commitment and for all the support that you do for our teachers in our schools and for keeping the PTA highly engaged in this challenging time, because I know that that's an added stress and strain, so thank you. The MEA has asked to be excused, so we will now move to, and Massa has asked to be excused, so.
Sorry, we do have Massa, we don't have MESPA. I apologize, that
Okay,
was an error.
switch. Okay, so we do have Massa.
I'm good though.
You're good, okay. And Messa was asked to be excused, so we're going down to the foundation.
Our foundation director, Jeannie Hable, asked to be excused this evening, but she did ask that I share with each of the board members the Pinnacle brochure. We are going forward with the Pinnacle for this year. It will be virtual. And so we will be recognizing in March, those that were selected last year in a virtual recognition. And then in May, we will recognize those that are selected for this school year. So she asked that I share this with you. And if you have any individuals that you would like to give this to who might be interested in supporting the Marie Education Foundation and the Pinnacle Awards, I have extra copies that we can give.
Thank you. Now we are at patron statements.
I'll bring some liquid here just in case I run out of voice. Okay, so we have 5 patron statements to read tonight. The first one comes from Jocelyn Reese. And she says, I appreciate all that Murray City School District has done and continues to do to support the students of our community. There are many complexities in most decisions made in this building, and I value your expertise and commitment to our city. Regarding the Equity Council and recent events, I find myself concerned for the rights of parents and families. I believe in equity and being fair and impartial, and helping every student achieve their highest potential. It is certainly the role of our public schools to equitably teach our students appropriate curriculum, reading, writing, math, science, history, and U.S. Constitution, etc. We even have research-based curriculum for teaching character, values, and other subjective topics. Are we striving as a society and a public school system to teach these necessary subjects to every student? I believe that we have the best teachers in our district and that they are more than doing a great job to teach these subjects equitably. Do we have marginalized populations in our district? You bet, we do. Every one of us has been marginalized at some point in our life and knows that pain. We have been the only something in the room full of something else and felt diminished or powerless and have probably even had disparaging comments made toward us. It is hurtful when someone says unkind words to us about anything, but especially things that are out of our control or part of the core belief system. You are done for thinking. You are crazy if you believe. You people are. Those all come to us as if to say, you don't matter or you were wrong. These kinds of statements can be tolerated in any setting or cannot be tolerated in any setting. We can do better and be better to treat any person, marginalized or not, with respect. It is my opportunity and obligation as a parent to teach my children. I am so grateful to live in a country and state that recognizes my right as a parent to decide how and when to teach my children sensitive and important topics such as human sexuality, protection from possible abusers, and other topics that are only appropriate when certain maturity is reached. I value Murray City School District for its transparency of the chosen curriculum for these topics, allowing parents and guardians to make informed decisions. I plead with the board, who are elected by the people of this city, to uphold the laws protecting our rights as parents regarding and teaching of human reproduction, sexuality, and sexual abuse. Let us decide when and how these topics are taught. The recent events that have been brought to light demonstrated that a certain faction of our district taught some of these sensitive topics to our children without the knowledge or consent of parents. This is clearly a violation of existing laws and also does not show equity to the parents in our district who are the major stakeholders in our children's education. In any equity council, the children and their parents or guardians in our district should be the first consideration. Thank you for hearing our voices, not just the loudest voices, but all of the voices. Next one comes from Michelle Peterson. And she says, please lift the suspension on equity book bundles and teachings on inclusion, acceptance, tolerance, and diversity. These teachings in the public schools are vital to increasing awareness and putting an end to bullying, depression, and suicide among teens, specifically LGBT+, in our Utah community. I am speaking as a resident who has lived in this state for over 39 years and raising a toddler who believes that this curriculum should be introduced early and discussed often through high school and secondary education. Next one is from Cynthia Reese. It says, Dear Murray School Board members, I am writing today to ask to immediately reinstate the equity board and return the books that they carefully selected back to the schools and allow them to be used in classes to support the teachers and staff in their lesson planning. The equity board is made up of experienced educators with years of experience working with children and living in our state. The books they selected for the equity packs were carefully reviewed and are widely recognized as being outstanding literature for young readers. I'm also concerned about who is reviewing these books now that the equity board has been suspended. Who are they? And what are their qualifications? I am happy to see that the books from the pack dealing with Black American history and civil rights movement have been returned to the schools to use, but the rest of the packs need to be returned as well. Our non-white and LGBTQ students deserve to have literature that teaches their histories, supports their cultures, and reflects their lives. It's important for children to see themselves reflected in the arts around them, and it is important for other children to learn about the cultures and struggles of those who are different than themselves. Teaching these things helps create empathy and hopefully will lead to a more compassionate and understanding society in the future. Every child, regardless of race, religion, culture, gender identity, or sexual orientation, needs to feel supported and loved and seen. The equity board and their book packs were working towards these goals. I urge you to reinstate the equity board immediately and return all the books in the equity packs back to the schools. Some topics can be difficult to discuss, but that does not mean that we should avoid the topics. Please protect and serve all the children or all the youth in our school district and make sure equity remains a priority in our schools. Next one comes from Zachary Noyce. He says, I write to encourage the Board of Education to end its suspension of the use of equity book bundles in Murray City School District classrooms as soon as possible. Indeed, I hope that educators will be encouraged to use these materials. I appreciate that upon realizing that you were prohibiting books about Black history during Black History Month, you reactivated a number of those, such as what was the Underground Railroad, Frederick's Journey of the I Sing, this is a step in the right direction. That said, I can't help but notice that you are still restricting a number of books about Black history, including Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History, Let's Talk About Race, A Place to Land, Martin Luther King Jr., and the Speech That Inspired a Nation, and the Bell Rang, a first-person book I recently read to my own children, intended to portray the daily life of an enslaved child. Other currently banned books that I've read to my own first and third grade children include I Am Human, an innocuous book whose messages is wholly summarized by the title Paper Kingdom, a book about a Hispanic child who goes with his parents while they work the night shift cleaning an office building. And a family is a family, a book about how there are lots of kinds of families, big and small, multi-generational households, married and single parents, parents who have remarried, etc. I think these books are valuable educational resources of particular importance at this time. They help our children better understand the world that they actually live in. The action that the district has taken has not only exacts a tremendous opportunity cost, but removing the learning and growth opportunities these materials could bring, but does active harm to worthy causes by effectively censoring topics that should be centered. While I understand that the books the district is currently disallowing are not the only way to teach these topics, restricting use of those or any materials reduces the tools in an educator's tool belt, and will certainly discourage many teachers from teaching these concepts at all. I offer my voice of general opposition to restricting teachers' freedom to choose the materials that they use in class, even though I understand this also means my children will be exposed to a number of positions and books and authors that I disapprove of. There should not be a list of books that are banned in the classroom, nor should educators be required to select exclusively from a list of approved materials. I hope you will do the right thing and immediately permit the use of all materials from the equity book bundles. I hope you will encourage teachers to plan lessons intended to foster a spirit of equity and inclusiveness in schools, the community, the country, and the world. Such lessons and activities should encourage proactive engagement with inequalities, historical realities, and center the voices of people who have previously been brushed aside. But at the minimum, no restrictions should be in place with which to block or restrict our students from learning these lessons. Our children are ready to grow to be much better people than we are, understanding, loving, accepting, empathetic, kind. We need to encourage that. But the least we can do is stop standing in their way. Please remove the restrictions on use of these titles. And the final one comes from Steve Clems. He says, thank you to our school board, or thank you for the school board's update. Thank you for the board's commitment to provide resources for inclusivity and fully support and applaud the board's initiative to eliminate prejudice while including Black history, which has been historically and systemically neglected.
Thanks, sir. Okay, we will now move to the report of the board, and if it's all right, I would like to go ahead and read a statement associated with the board, and then we'll go to each of the board members. No. The Murray City School District Board of Education, Superintendent, and District Office Administration promotes mutual understanding and respect for the interests and rights of all individuals. The board also encourages its educators and members of the community to engage in efforts to eliminate prejudice, build trust, work towards consensus, and dissolve disputes promptly and equitably, sensitivity with our civility and at the all local level. The Equity Book Bundle program was launched in September of 2020. It did not then nor now include a book called Call Me Max. However, an incident where a student brought Call Me Max to school for a teacher to read triggered questions from parents about our Equity Council, which was created in late 2019 and the Equity Book Bundle Program. As there were many concerns expressed from parents, the Murray Board of Education made the decision to further examine both programs to ensure all literature introduced to Murray City School District follows clear policies and procedures. Further, that our and the Equity Council's mission, vision, and participants are better defined, and to ensure it is inclusive and representative. However, it should be pointed out, the book bundle program was intended as a quick resource for teachers wanting to teach about diversity. Teachers at Murray City School District can continue to use resource materials on diversity from our libraries just as they have in years past, and as other teachers do at other school districts. Therefore, suspension of the program should not be viewed as definitive or as a ban on books, but rather simply as a closer look of policies and procedures to do our diligence as educators reviewing any new program. Murray City School Board Policy IN 304 has guidelines for reviewing books used in classrooms and will be used as a starting point to review the book bundle program. Again, we are not removing materials that have been in circulation in previous years, many of which were included in the Equity Book Bundle program. I think that's all we have on that statement. So let's now go to Cammie. Do you want to start?
There have been a lot of comments from the parents and regarding our equity council. And we appreciate those comments. We appreciate getting both sides or all sides and helping to make decisions that are best for our school district. So thank you to all those who take time to comment and communicate with us. Yeah, that's about all I have.
Okay. Cool.
During the past few weeks, there's been a lot of frustration with parents and teachers. And the happy thing I want to express is that Kiko would like our baseball team to go to St. George. And I highly recommend that because the boys will be in the car with their parents and in a hotel with their parents. And then all of us, I think, in this room have had the vaccine, and that makes us healthy and happy. We have many wonderful principals in this district, and just because of this equity explosion, we probably all have a lot of parents calling and wondering. But the next thing that I really appreciate is Missy and the document she sent out to the school board and probably to all the schools about our libraries and what parents and students should be having. And so thank you, Missy. And I think we have the best people in the district office, the best principals in the world.
Thank you, Mo. Linda?
Just a couple of things. I appreciate all the time that was spent on the test to stay at our high school because I think the more we can keep kids in school consistently, that's our better results. So I'm grateful that that was an option and that we used it and that we kept most of our kids, like what, 99% of our kids just picked that back up and went back to class. Or just supposed to go back to class. I don't know if they went back to class, they're high schoolers. But I just also want to make a personal statement that I want everyone to know that our job as your school board is to represent those people in our community. And so when somebody speaks to us or sends us an email, we take it seriously. We listen. We consider it. I've been told lately that that we blow it off and we don't pay attention. And I just want you to know that each person on this board spends hours of their own time volunteering to do this. So we wouldn't do it if we didn't take it personally. We didn't want the best for kids because we could be doing something else, but we care. So that's why we do it. So nothing is taken lightly. Also, I just wanted to thank this issue with equity or the book bundles or whatever you want to call it kind of blew up in my neighborhood. So I spent hours on it. lots of phone calls, lots of emails, but I would like to also acknowledge our staff here at the district office and the staff at Verizon who has spent, well, and all our principals, who I know have spent a lot of time and a lot of consideration and also given it serious thought, and that things can't be done overnight because best decisions aren't made overnight. Best decisions take time and input. And that's what we are all working towards, is trying to do the best that we can as a board and as a district office. So, thank you.
Elizabeth?
So like everyone here, I've received a lot of phone calls and emails for the last couple of days, and I've read them all and I listened to everyone, and I am looking forward to when we unpause our equity committee and take a look at our books and make sure that we have what we want in our classrooms. I think that the equity committee was doing a really good job, and I really support the work that they've done with getting us to the point that we're at. And I look forward to getting the show back up and running and fully support that happening. In other news, I also want to say that I finally joined the Liberty PTA. It only took me 6 months to finally do it, but I did, so. I know we were talking about that in a previous meeting about trying to get all of us to sign up for PTA, so I did.
Did the rest of you? I don't even have a kid at Parkside, I'm a member, so I'm gonna put the pressure on you.
I asked my manager at home if she would sign me up. I think she did.
I'll refer to your manager.
Okay.
I need one of those managers.
Yeah, you're on the line.
We will move on now to a report of the staff, and our first item on there is recognition of CTE month. Oh, sorry. Hold on, Scott. I apologize. I wanted to review if there are any other board assignments as we start to look at how we maybe redistribute or need to make any changes associated with that. So we have those that are supportive of the PTA program, Murray Education Foundation, audit committees, the building committee, Sully Park and Recs Advisory Committee, Sully Community College CTE, and Technology Committee. And is there any other?
We talked about this before, that going to those region PTA meetings could be valuable, and we just never quite got that, you know, to a schedule or whatever you want to call it. Does anybody else think that would be a value? I think it would be a value. But I don't know
How often do they have class? I'm not even sure.
Once a month, right?
Once a month. It's the second Thursday of every month.
What time?
It starts at 12 o'clock. 11:45 we serve lunch.
Right.
So there's an incentive.
I can do that if you want. I can't. Are the recipes covered?
I believe they are. I'm not sure. Who's on the technology committee?
I actually don't think anybody.
I don't know.
You are.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I don't know that I've been invited or aware of any meetings, so.
We haven't met since the world over.
Okay.
Okay, and then Parks and Rec you're doing.
I'm doing Parks and Rec.
And
I'm on the audit, and then Ken's on the audit.
the building committee, you're on.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Hold right now.
Yeah.
And Gloria, are you still on the CTE for Salt Lake Community College?
I didn't even know I've ever been on.
I don't know.
Okay, now we can check that off. We weren't sure. So
Yeah,
I would be happy to do that.
March, I think used to do that, and I don't know if that continued on or not.
we don't know. That was just an old one, so we can double check to see if
Yeah,
that's
March
still.
did it for a long time, and I don't, maybe that was something, how she got to that position might not have really been school board, you know what I mean? Like the school board slash.
Yeah, I did attend 1 or 2 meetings right when I first came on, and then we made some changes again. And
Well, when I first arrived on the school board, I had been at Salt Lake Community College current enrollment
Right.
director. So the person that did this, I called in and I said, I'm on school board and I think I'm supposed to take March's place, so we're not doing it anymore.
Oh, that's what I.
That's good to know. We will cross that off.
So,
Okay.
Jen, tell me again, second Thursday PTA?
Yes, so PTA and then the Murray Education Foundation as well, which meets the second Tuesday of every month at 7:30 a.m. here at this building.
ooh, if somebody else wants the new one, I do the 7:30 one.
What's the name of the PTA?
Yeah, it's at 11.
The regional
Yeah,
PTA.
I'll do that.
Oh, then I'll do MEF. MEF is easy.
I was doing MEF and then I wasn't able to go to the morning.
Well, you've got kids to get ready at that time of day, so that would always be.
Yeah.
That'd be hard. So that's fine, because I don't have any kids home, so that.
So Elizabeth for PTA
Yeah.
and Belinda for MEF. And then everybody else, so
Amy or Flo wants to do MEF or PTA.
But who's technology?
technology is Sharon.
If you want to take technology.
I taught technology forever. But it was a long time, so it's new technology.
Who did you say was MEF?
MEF is Belinda.
Linda.
So Glo, are you wanting to be technology then?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So
Thank
you're
you.
happy to do something.
Yeah, we've been meeting, so we've been good so far, so, okay. I think that's all of them,
Yes.
you got them all?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Scott, we will now proceed with a report from the staff.
Thank you, President Cooper. It's a pleasure to be here this evening with you and to recognize our educators. I think it's been mentioned several times and I just have to mention it again. So appreciative of all of our educators, all of our employees, all of our support staff, all of those here in Murray District. Tonight, we have the opportunity, as you may know, that every February is National CTE Month, and there's recognition of CTE. And yes, well, we're going to do something with that in just a minute. You have a little box about CTE there. It has some little candies that kind of go with Valentine's Day. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So we're going to start off, and I've invited a couple of educators in our health science department who happen to also be concurrent enrollment teachers in our school, at the high school, to share with us. One of the teachers is Crystal Lee Chin, and I'll talk a little bit about her and have her present first, and the other is Steve Scheidel, and when his turn, just before his turn, I'll mention a couple of things about Steve and then allow him to present for us. Because of the situation we're in, they're on tonight with us via Zoom. And we're going to go ahead and welcome Crystal Lee Chin. And Crystal came to us. I think Crystal started her teaching career back in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, Crystal. And I think you started in California, about 5 years in California. And then we were fortunate enough that she relocated here in Utah and in Salt Lake City. And we've had Crystal Lee Chin with us for the last 3 years. And she teaches in our medical anatomy and physiology CTE program, along with other things that she does, concurrent enrollment. And I'm going to let her talk about that here in just a little bit. Just wanted to welcome Crystal. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for all you do. And I'll let you address the board. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hello. So as Scott said, thank you for the introduction, Scott. My name is Crystal Lee Chin, and I've been working here at Murray for 3 years now. I've really enjoyed it. What I teach at Murray since I've gotten here has been AP Biology, Biology 1090, that's the CTE course that I teach, and Biology 1010 and 1015 is the lab that goes with it. So the latter two classes are also concurrent enrollment courses. The kids also get credit through SLIC when they take those courses. And so I'll focus on Bio 1090 since that's my CTE course. This is the 3rd year I've done it, and it's been great. The kids love it. It's my most popular class now. I have 3 sections of it and they're full, and it's a great time. things that we do that I think are unique, that are more applicable to like a CTE setting would be, I try to teach the kids various healthcare skills, things like suturing. The kids have learned how to suture, which is really cool. And they, they learn how to close up the wound. And sometimes we use silicone pads. Sometimes we use like banana peels or orange peels. So they kind of get the hang of it and what it would be like to do it for real to some extent. And then recently we're now doing the cardiovascular system. So they're learning how to measure their blood pressure, and we're doing it the old school way. We have the cuffs with the gauge and the little hand pump. So they've been doing that lately and really enjoying it. We're also learning about blood clotting right now. So we have some artificial blood, and they're learning what makes it clot and how if you put different types of blood together, you get clots. So I try to bring some of the medical side into things, so that way the kids skills that they'll actually learn when they're, pursuing a healthcare career. And a big part of the reason I do that, besides the class being a CTE class, is because many of my students in Bio 1090 have a really strong desire to have a career in healthcare. Many of them want to be nurses, doctors, surgeons, dentists, EMTs, all kinds of stuff like that. And quite a few of the kids are already CNAs. I usually have a couple CNAs at least in each class every year. So the kids are really into it. They're hungry to learn more. And so we do a lot of things like that in addition to the curriculum, which is already pretty challenging, but they're up for the challenge. They really enjoy it. Other things that we do are things like dissections. We do a lot of those. We learn all the different quadrants of the body, and the dissections are focused on mammals because the whole class is, based on human anatomy and physiology. So we do a lot of dissections of mammalian body parts. So like cow eyes, sheep brains, livers, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the year, we do a whole rat, like a large rat, and the kids really like that. They like learning how to cut open the bones and get the marrow out of the bones and all that stuff. So I think that's also a good preparation for them, because so many of them want to go into a healthcare field. They need to kind of learn how to deal with that. And sometimes the kids get grossed out. It's a little funny, but they get used to it, and I think they enjoy it. We also learn a lot about different diseases and disorders in humans, and treatments. Like the kids will read new research articles and data about origins of these diseases and disorders, and we'll talk about what the treatments are. And some of the stuff we're learning about is pretty new. Like we just learned about CRISPR. So the kids were learning how you can use CRISPR in gene therapy and how they're using that to help find treatments with HIV and things like that. So I think it's a really good introductory course to the kinds of things that they'll be doing if they do decide to continue on their desired paths of pursuing healthcare careers in college and vocational programs. So I think it's really good for them. They really like it. I have more kids in it every year. And the only thing I wish is that we just had more time to do even more stuff, because it's just fun. So I've really enjoyed this class. I think it's quickly becoming my favorite. AP Bio used to be my baby, but this one, I think it's really grown on me. So I love it. It's great.
Crystal, thank you so much. I just have to mention that I was in Crystal's classroom for just a brief minute or two this week as we were talking, and I think it was her AP class. I'm sure that must have been her AP students, and she had a few of those AP students there. And I had the sense that they were a little nervous with COVID and having gone online and not online and back and forth, that they were maybe a little concerned about the AP test coming up. And I just want you to know that Crystal was so positive with the kids. and saying, we're gonna make this and we're gonna make it work, and this is our timeline, and this is what we have going on, and you guys can do this, and this is how we'll do it. And everything was just in a matter of just a couple of minutes. She was so positive with them. And you could tell that those students believed in Crystal and believed in their teacher, and that they could actually do well and be prepared when the AP test comes. So Crystal, thank you so much. We feel so fortunate to have you as a teacher here in the Murray School District at Murray High School. Thank you. It's not easy to be an adjunct professor when you're teaching at the high school and also teaching adjunct so that they can get the college credit. And both Steve and Crystal are qualified by the community college and UVU, which does our biotech program that Steve will talk about in a minute. So Crystal, thank you. I'd like to introduce Steve Scheidel. Steve, many of you know Steve and have seen Steve around probably for a long time because he's been here for about 28 years. Steve, in my 5th year of teaching, joined our department, and I was able to teach not side by side, but across the hall from Steve, I think is how I remember our rooms. And one of us spoke really loud and the other one would have to close their door so that they didn't get the other person's lecture. I won't say which one spoke the loudest. We're both pretty good at projecting our voices for sure. I just have to tell you, I admire and respect Steve so much. He taught me so much. He brought so much technology in back in 93. Is that right, Steve? 93? 93. He brought technology from day one. He was in law enforcement prior to teaching, and we got so lucky that he came and became an educator and taught with us. I've admired him from near and far for many, many years. Some of the success stories, I run into several people in the community now that know Steve and have had, their students have had Steve. And I can't tell you how many times Steve is brought up as he was the individual that kind of propelled my student on to going into the career that they're in, very often again in a medical career. So I want to thank Steve on a personal level as well as on behalf of our district for all that you've done and especially for what you've done for our students. I'm now going to be quiet and let you take over. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Scott. That's the first time I've heard you be quiet. Superintendent Covington, President Cooper, board, and the administrators are there. I want you to know how much I appreciate you and all you've done to support not only myself, but all the teachers in the district. I'll talk more about that in the end. So I teach at Murray High School, and yes, I've been there for, this will be my 28th year. And I teach biotechnology. So I was lucky to end up at Murray High School for a number of reasons. One of them was Clayne Paulson. So 25 years ago, Clayne saw that biotechnology could be a strong course in our state. And so he approached Scott Snelson, who was the science and health specialist at the USBE. And those two got biotechnology approved by the Board of Regents. And Murray High School was the first school in the state to teach biotechnology. And it has been an incredible ride since then. Clayne was supportive, not only in helping with the Board of Regents, but also with funding. The biotechnology equipment is very expensive. Another that was so instrumental in the success of the program was our very own Glo Merrill. No disrespect, Glo, but I call Glo my sugar mama. She provided so much money for biotech and for other CTE programs that we've enjoyed success that few other high schools in the state have. Marge Tuckett was a great support in the CTE program. Even Scott Bushnell has been a great support in the CTE program and has continued to help us with training for the CTE teachers and for funding for equipment. And it's with heartfelt thanks that I extend my appreciation to you for all you guys have done. A little bit about the class. Biotechnology used to be taught through SLIC, and they closed their concurrent program. And so we were able to partner with UVU Dr. Jim Price and Colleen Howe down there are good friends and have been very supportive. And so the kids get UVU credit. Biotech has provided a strong foundation for hundreds of kids that have gone on in science and have gone on in medicine. There's a ton of success stories of the kids that have come out of the biotech program. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share a couple of those stories. So one of my favorite stories was, I don't know, it's probably 9 or 10 years ago. It was during a biotech class. I was working with kids in the lab, and a father walked in. And it was a friend of mine. It was Phil Cox. And he had tears in his eyes. I said, "Phil, what's the matter?" And he says, "My son just graduated with his PhD in chemical nanotechnology from the University of Washington. And he says, I'm here to thank you because you started him." And, I had a tear in my eye too. I was grateful that he came in and shared that. Another student that I'd like to share a couple of stories about is Nicole Sargent, now Nicole Sutherland. Nikki took my class as a junior. In her senior year, she started an internship with Sorensen Genomics. And she was so talented, so bright, and such a hard worker. They said, "You cannot do the internship during the second semester because we're going to hire you." And at the end of the school year, they told her, "Not only have we hired you, but we're going to pay for your college education." And Sorensen supported her as she pursued her education goals. While Nikki was there was a tsunami in Southeast Asia that just devastated populations. And there were a lot of people who died and needed to be identified. Well, Sorensen said, let's bring all of those tissue samples in and let's get people reunited with their family. And so Nikki Sargent and two other girls, two twins, were working there at the time. And they, with the president of the company all the way down to the janitor, volunteered their time to go in and spent hundreds and hundreds of hours reuniting loved ones with their family members who perished in the tsunami. So that was a great story and a credit to Nikki and the twins and also to Sorensen. Another great story to come out of biotech is Ryan Thewison. So he was in my biotech class and AP biology class early in my career. He had a penchant for research. And Ryan, in his senior year, after taking AP biology and biotech, did a year of research at the high school in our lab with the equipment that the people I mentioned before bought. And what Ryan did is he put together a DNA fingerprinting system to identify different trout. So he could identify a rainbow trout, he could identify a cutthroat trout, and he could identify a hybrid between the two using his DNA test. It was pretty incredible. He went up with Fish and Wildlife. He obtained 350 fish samples, built his system. He went to the International Science and Engineering Fair, and he won first place in zoology. He got a full ride scholarship to Louisville and $3,500 cash in his pocket. So I'm really proud of him. And right now he is in the liver transplant program at IMC and a successful physician assistant there. So I have story after story, and I won't take up too much time. I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing in class right now. Right now we're doing PCRs. Now, if you think about PCR, it's something that we've heard in the news over the last year in relation to COVID. PCR tests are used to determine viral load in the respiratory system. And so at Murray High School, I have the equipment to run polymerase chain reactions, and we are doing PCR tests right now. And it's a really nice tie-in with what's going on in COVID. And the kids are grateful to be able to participate in this kind of technology and see a contemporary application for the techniques they're using. Another technique that they're going to learn here in 6 weeks is ELISA. This is another type of test that you've heard with COVID. And an ELISA test is used to measure the amount of antibodies in a person's blood. And these are antibodies that are specific to fighting COVID. And they can measure the amount of antibodies and determine their ability to resist the disease. So we will do ELISAs at Murray High School and we'll be able to tie that in with the COVID. We are not testing COVID samples. We have to do something much more innocuous. Another thing that we're going to do at the end of the year, and this was mentioned by Ms. Lee Chen, was CRISPR. CRISPR gives us the ability to edit DNA. And for good or for bad, DNA editing is taking place right now in pre-implantation embryos. The Chinese have used CRISPR to edit. At Murray High School, we will use CRISPR to edit DNA. Now, we're not using embryos, we'll use bacteria, but the kids will be able to edit the DNA and then go in and use PCR tests to take a look at their edits. So the opportunities that come for kids in the biotechnology program are enormous. I see a number of kids each year that through this CTE program are converted to science. They were going to go into business and now they're going into science. And it's been just a super opportunity for me to provide these opportunities for the kids. One last story. This is about Beth Renz. Mrs. Renz was a teacher in our district. Her daughter Beth was a favorite student of mine. She was incredible. So Beth Renz went through biotech and loved the science so much that she got a scholarship at the University of Utah in her first love, ballet, and her second major was biochemistry. And so if a program can convert a wonderful dancer, talented dancer, into a biochemist, it's got to be a great program. So I'm grateful for the CTE programs at Murray High School. They're really strong. I'm grateful for the opportunities that this gives the kids, and I'm grateful for the last 28 years. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm grateful to all of you for the opportunities that you've provided. Thank you.
Steve, thank you. And Crystal, thank you. It truly is an honor and a privilege for me to be able to work alongside of the Steve Scheidel's and the Crystal Lee Chins and all of our employees here in the Murray City School District. So thank you very much. Just a couple of additional things regarding CTE. Just want to share a couple of things that are going on. It hasn't been easy. CTE programs often are hands-on programs. There's a lot of hands-on that goes on, auto shop, carpentry, our foods classes, a lot of that. So I just wanted to share a couple things. And Chantel, I haven't forgotten you. We're going to close with Chantel Olson. She's just going to share a couple of things regarding pathways and these little candy boxes that Glo pointed out for us at the start, and tell you a little bit about those. And a couple of other things, including how we are doing registration online this year and how we're advertising for our programs. So I just want to point out over here on the side, I won't take the time to bring it in, but I found out, thanks to Doug Perry here, his son is into video and photography, and this is called a C-stand. I now know that this is a C-stand. And that little clamp on there holds an iPhone. And Jason Ayer helped us make some decisions regarding how we could potentially video some of our programs given the current pandemic situation. So this C-stand can go up about 10 feet tall, and it, as you can see, the arm can come out at a right angle or whatever angle you want to put it at. We bought a few cell phones that don't have SIM cards that can video, and they actually capture the video so we can, or live stream video, so we can take this, and if you can imagine taking this stand and placing it right over the engine compartment of a car, when the teacher's working on it and everyone can see. We're in a foods class. It looks like we have our own food cooking network, or whatever the foods network is, like our own cooking show going on, because we can place that camera like a document camera and it can look straight down on everything and the students can have a clear picture. We can record that, share it for those that are online. So that's just one of the things we've done. I'm going to ask Jen to go to our plexiglass. I have to tell you that as we were looking at PPE and the protection we needed, we knew masks, we knew gloves, we knew that we needed sanitizer, wipes, all of those kinds of things. But one of the things that we quickly realized that another added layer of protection was the use of some of this plexiglass, or these plexiglass dividers. But plexiglass doesn't come pre-made like that unless you pay quite a bit of money. And Rod Pace started custom making some of these plexiglass dividers for us. But it quickly, our teachers and our principals were asking for so many that we quickly realized that Rod doing this, it would take him away from all his other jobs. And our 3 shop teachers, wood shop teachers, stepped in and they built over 1,000 of these dividers at the start of school. So I just want to tell them thank you and how appreciative. Some came in on Saturdays. They did a great job to provide us with these dividers, and that's Quinn Drury and Mark Tobler and John Johnston, our 3 shop teachers who do run an amazing program, as you well know. But we just want to thank them for that. So several things we've had to adapt, kind of change during this COVID piece. We're trying to figure all of this out, but our teachers have definitely done a great job of doing everything they can to provide a top quality education for our students. Having said that, I'm going to turn the time over now to Chantel Olson, who's our CTE coordinator at Murray High School. And she's going to share, as I mentioned, a little bit about these candy boxes that you have in front of you. And she's also going to share a little bit about our pathways maybe, and a little bit about registration and our videos. So thank you, Chantel.
Thanks, Scott. And thanks to Crystal and Steve. It's so good to hear them talk about their programs, because especially this year, it's hard to get in the classroom. Like Scott said, our registration is a little different this year. It's all online, and it's all on a Google form, and our counselors worked really hard. Each page of the Google form, each section, has a video done by our counselor to explain all of the courses and the classes that they need to take. And in addition to that, there were videos made by our teachers. And I know that Brady Smith, our work-based learning coordinator at the district, reached out to all the teachers along with Stacy Murdoch, our counselor, to make sure that teachers knew and had the opportunity to make a video to, both promote the understanding and then also to promote just interest in their classes. So, and I think it's almost better than just a paper registration, because they could go ask their teacher about the class, but they don't usually. So they can watch that video about the class and maybe get excited, get interested, and understand a little bit about the course. So I think Scott has 2 videos for our CTE courses that our teachers made, and they're on that registration document.
Yeah, we'll load those up right now, Chantel, thank you. So the first one is from Jackie Martin, our auto shop teacher, and the second one will be from Amber Rideout, who does our new education class. Sorry.
Intro to auto, I'll show you some stuff that you're actually lifelong skills. In the shop here, we're going to start with over here, we got a flat tire. We give you lifelong skills on how to fix your flat tire.
So once again, we're having a little bit of problem with technology, so I'm going to attempt to narrate as we go. Jackie's taking us around her shop, telling us the skills that will be taught in her class. And the video just, no worries. I apologize for our audio feed tonight. Imagine as we're going through this, and she goes to the tire, so mounting a tire on the rim and how they do that and the machines that we have. She'll talk about the balancer here in just a second, and then she'll finish up with a way that they can actually repair a hole in their own tire, should they want to try that at some point. It takes a little bit of work, but they learn a variety of skills. What's beautiful about this is when they go into the registration, they can just click on the link to this video or any other of the courses that we teach, and students can actually see about a minute to minute and a half video. We try to create those of what these courses are about. And it gives at least a little bit of flavor versus trying to read a paragraph or maybe a sentence in a registration manual about what this course is about. Now you can hear the teacher talking, what we do, kind of those kinds of things. Let's try Amber Rydalch's video in our Teaching as a Profession course. And I don't know how the audio is going to work here, but if I can just walk us through briefly, some of this initially is just text. So you can just read the text. Okay. This is what's beautiful about this, and I'll tell you what these guys are saying. These are our teachers at the high school, and they're telling the students when they watch this, I need you to replace me. Isn't that a great way to start talking about this? And then Jordan Beckstrand, our band teacher, said, I'm too young. I asked them, come and join me as an educator. So I think it's a real cute thing that she's done. Take a look at some of these things that she's put on there about teachers. At this point, she then invites, she introduces herself and then invites students to get to know the program, come and speak with her in her office. She gives the office number that she's at. She talks about all the different educational opportunities there are, from everything from teaching at preschool on up through post-secondary and college and university. She talks about counseling, social work, all of those kinds of occupations that fall within education, and then encourage the students, if they have an interest, to come join her for next year in the course.
Really successful for only being.
It has been, she's a great teacher, and the students are drawn to her classes, and it has been very successful. Matter of fact, we have a concurrent enrollment class, a capstone class on that program as well. So we feel very, very fortunate to have these programs. Chantel, I'm going to turn it back to you now that I've tried to narrate very poorly, by the way, narrate the videos.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, Amber's video is really, really good. So if you get a chance to watch it, I guess you could probably just watch it on your own screens. But she does a good job talking about that education isn't just teaching, that there are other jobs in education. So what else was I going to talk about, Scott? Pathways. So the other thing that's gone digital, which is good for the kids, is our pathway completer and concentrator chords. So in the past, we've done CTE chords, and then we did career chords, and now we do CTE chords at graduation, which hopefully we'll have, an in-person graduation for the students, which I know are planning. And the students who are concentrators receive an orange cord at graduation and their name in our graduation brochure and a certificate. And it just lets them know that they've concentrated in the CTE area, that they have not just taken a basic level course, but they have taken a course that shows their skill set is growing and will continue, to grow. So Crystal Lee Chin and Steve, Steve actually is a whole program in himself. Once those kids take that biotechnology class, they are a concentrator. So all of those kids will receive cords. So the pathway documents and the website is on that QR code on the candy box. And so we're giving those out to students in the Commons tomorrow to kind of promote kids to go to that site and kind of check out, hey, I did take one auto mechanics course. I took that intro to auto class. And if I take one more course, I'm a concentrator And that means I have a skill set in that area that others don't have. So that's all. Sorry, Scott.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So you can take your phone, just open up the camera, hover it over your QR code, and you can take a look at the Pathways link when you get a chance. We will make sure you get those videos, and they're much better narrated by the teachers than by Scott, that's for sure. Last of all, thank you for allowing us to celebrate a little bit of CTE month with you this evening. I hope that you have gained a little bit more of an understanding, maybe appreciation for what great programs our teachers run, as you well know, but they just do a fantastic job. I want to thank you for your support in our CTE programs and in all of our programs. To you as board members, Glo, thank you for what you did for CTE and for Murray School District for so many years as an employee here. Jaron, your dad was an employee here, and I'm probably missing someone. Tammy, you had a board member, brother, uncle. Gosh, sorry, Daryl, and you all have connections in various ways here to the district. We thank you. The Clayne Colsons of the world got me started in CTE way back when I first started teaching. To Jen Covington, who was a CTE teacher when she began, and for all that she does to support us here in the district. CTE is just one of those many components that she has the opportunity to support and does so well, and we appreciate it. To our directors and our staff members and principals and just everyone that our teachers, everyone that supports us in education, we thank you. It's an honor again to be a part of not only CTE, but Murray City School District. Are there any questions that you guys may have?
Well, our superintendent, her very first day of work at Murray High School, every class, she did her cheer backflip.
Jen, I can't do that now.
Ask her about her first day red shoes too.